And one thing as well, maybe worth picturing is, excuse me, imagine this is sort of the blank, this is a blank slate for the year ahead, is that, assuming we've got that last year's historical information in here, let's just roll that over to be the starting point of our budget for the new season. We know that if it happened last year, there's a good chance that something similar is going to happen again this year. It's the joys of a good farming cycle. And we can bring that in and use that. Let's just have that as our baseline. That's our foundation for building out, the rest of the year ahead. So import that. We start to get an idea of, where do we start to spend our money monthly, last year based on what's really happened. And take an example like seed and plants. Maybe we know that we've got an extra month that we're going to have to pay a little bit more, enter it in and grow it out from there. But, if we just know that, look, this year we know it's probably going to be about 8% higher for our seed bill this year. Chuck it in there and get a real quick idea of, well, how's this going to impact not only my annual closing cash balance, but at a monthly level as well. We can really start to factor in the seasonality changes as well. If you want to spread a particular cost on a curve of last year, we knew that 2024 was a really good example of our payment structure for that season. We know that farming is not a linear process when it comes to paying bills and building things out over a whole year. So, let's use that, take an annualized figure, but make sure we spread it out based on how we actually paid that in the prior year. So, some of those more variable costs, for example, seeds or vet bills if you're running, cattle operations, anything to do with livestock as well. But we can really get into the detail really quickly at a monthly level and build out something that's going to give us, that really clear analyses over the coming year. What is my cash position at the end of each month? Am I going to have shortfalls? Do I need to be making, particular adjustments in those particular months to make sure I get through the year, in the right sense? All the while that you're building this out, and then as we start to reconcile those actuals as they happen, throughout the year, we can start to build out our variance reports and track, how are we doing against our plan this year? Do we need to make changes for the rest of the year ahead? So in this case, I'm just looking at how I'm tracking year to date versus my forecast year to date. If I want to look at, this month versus the forecast month, really drill into the details, we can start to do that. And, you start to get an idea. Here's my annualized plan. In this case, I was planning on selling $51,000 worth of cattle. I've reconciled and sold 47. So we've got a $4,000 variance there. Okay, it's just a real quick analysis. We can look at it, go, yep, we're a little bit behind on there, but maybe we're ahead in other areas as well. I saved a little bit of money on the calves that I've purchased in this year as well. So we want to be able to set that budget up at the start of the season and then analyze and adjust throughout the rest of the year as well, because things happen. We can go back into the grid and type in for the next 6 months. Actually, we know that things have gone up at a further 5%. Well, let's adjust that by 5 more percent, enter in those values. And as the actuals start to hit and reconcile, we can run that at a monthly cash flow level as well. So I've got my actuals running through up until June in this example. And here's my forecast, expenditure for each of those specific categories over the remainder of the year. All the while, that's updating my monthly and my annualized closing position just at a cash sense. But hopefully in the case of just minutes, you've been able to input a budget for the year, update some really key basic assumptions. We've got a plan now that's based on real data that really happened on this particular farm. And now we can keep tabs on it throughout the year as well. So hopefully by the process of setting it up just once, but then keeping an active eye on it and running it always in real time. And as those real data, we're reconciling the bank transactions each month. As that's coming through, let's have a quick check on how that's comparing against what I'd planned. It's giving you that opportunity to be proactive because we're seeing it come through in real time, and then we can adjust it in real time and build it out for the year as well, without having to tailor it specifically client by client, doing it in a different spreadsheet in a different way. We know that whenever we save that particular report view, I can click that run button every month, and I know I'm looking at the same thing each time for that particular client.